Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Jonathan Mangan with Weekly Scuffle, and I'm here to talk about the Miami Dolphins and what they could potentially do this upcoming Tuesday, which is the trade deadline. And I believe there's a few moves that can be made, both trading away and trading for some players. The two main players that I wanted to talk about were Roquan Smith and Bradley Chubb. And while Bradley Chubb, I believe, is slightly less likely now, especially with the Broncos winning, maybe they believe they can make a playoff push, which I don't see likely. But at the same time, you never know. And I think the Dolphins could use someone like a Bradley Chubb to pair with Jalen Phillips for the future. Granted, Ogba has been great, but for the future, those two paired up could be insane. And honestly, Roquan Smith, I think the Bears losing this week, potentially Roquan could be moved. I think the Dolphins make a lot of sense. I wouldn't mind trading the 49ers pick for Roquan, but at the same time, you could always draft a linebacker in the first or second round. So maybe that's not the move the Dolphins make. And I honestly think there's more people we could trade away than trade for. Teddy Bridgewater could be a potential trade target for some teams, considering we have Skyler who could serve as a solid backup. Mike Gesicki is always an option. Do the Dolphins really want to pay him? I am kind of torn with that. I feel like the Dolphins can pay him and keep him. And I like Mike Gesicki. I think he's a great receiving tight end. He's improved as a blocker. But at the same time, you could pay him or you could just draft a cheaper option in the draft. And honestly, I think maybe some teams would definitely be interested. And then you got people like Miles Gaskins who isn't getting that much playing time. Cedric Wilson, who hasn't really broken the wide receiver rotation. You know Chase Edmonds, who potentially him or Gaskins, I wouldn't expect both, but maybe one of them to get moved. But honestly, I think there's definitely a couple moves we can make. Eric Rowe is also one that has been brought up because of his healthy game scratch against the Lions, which great game by the way from the Dolphins, especially the offense. The defense started off the game very, very shaky, but eventually stepped up when it mattered most, and the Dolphins were able to get the dub. And honestly, they have a pretty easy schedule coming up, so I would like them to make maybe a couple moves, maybe add some draft picks, and potentially some veterans along the O line and secondary just to have that extra depth. But that being said, we'll see how all this plays out and see you next time. Peace.